Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Mindful Conversation. And this is a series about just that, conversations. You see, everyone lives life through their own perspective, and that's great and grand for giving us a complex, unique world, but that makes understanding other people's points of view a little more difficult, especially when you only see clips or you only hear what they say from someone else. But how about you sit and have a conversation with them, or listen to a conversation with them? That's the intention of this series, and I'll be going through this talking to important people, normal people, average people, whoever would sit and have a conversation with me, hopefully understanding different perspectives and life from different views. In this first episode, I speak with Mr. Kwasi Robinson, the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, a young man in politics, a millennial, and he is also the social media officer of the People's National Movement, the ruling party, the ruling governing party in Trinidad and Tobago. We had a conversation that spanned almost 3 hours. All of it, unfortunately, cannot be shown to you because of technical errors. We are now starting, so there were some minor audio errors, etc. But as we move on, it would only get better. It was really interesting. We spoke about politics, social media, and the general culture of Trinidadians in what they expect from their leaders. I hope you enjoy it. Everybody.
And I don't know that I have it better than anybody, you know? I don't know that my circumstance was. What I had growing up, I would say, is what I would have received in addition to. So I don't know what would have given me the intellectual edge to study in school and to. I don't know. That part I can't tell you about.
Yeah.
What I could tell you about is the light skin privilege. I could tell you about that as a real thing.
Yeah.
And it opens doors for you and you smile and you.
I believe you. I believe you because that is one that many people kind of back away from. You know, Trinidad have talk about race, real race.
No, but I need, and this even among my
I
community, my black people, I am saying that I would have seen the difference in how people treat me. And yes, I was more pleasant, but because people used to treat me more pleasant, I would have.
You behave.
So
it's a self-fulfilling kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would smile, and I think that opened real doors to me. That
everybody have privileges, everybody had disadvantages.
of course,
like the idea. I don't even like to talk too much about privilege. Like, you know, there's the talk about white privilege and skin color. The reason I don't like to talk about it sometimes is because I find real people honing on that as an excuse. Like, you're privileged, I am disadvantaged, and that is why you are the way you are. But, so for example, something I say regularly in the lives when I'm talking. We, right now, the humans in the Western world, have the easiest life of any humans that ever lived on the planet. So, if you want to talk about privilege, you're about as privileged as privilege comes.
Yeah, I come from Lahokata. It is very difficult to navigate that because yes, you understand that you would have had some privileges above them, but they would have also had some privileges above you. So we have to find a way, and it is whenever I have the conversation with them, they hone in on, you know, you are a little bit easier, and the thing with that for me is how do we, because I always tell my colleagues, we are not going to abandon them.
Correct.
From Minister Cummins, he has a favorite quote, I think it was by Pat Bishop. Nobody gets across until everybody gets across, and some of them you have to carry. So I am not into abandoning them. So people always ask me, you don't get fed up? I mean, the truth is, yes, I feel. So you would have seen maybe 2 or 3 politicians or 4 in the past 6 months get in trouble for expressing on social media the fed up of people calling them very early. But I would say that, I mean, like, that's a daily occurrence to me. Now, I think it sometimes, but I wouldn't post it because I also understand that these people are calling out for me for help. And what do you then do? You have to listen to them now.
I was looking at an article week before, somewhere like that. I think it was the Senate president was talking about politics being one of the most virtuous jobs or something to that effect. It was a quote she was using, and a quote I think from Socrates or somewhere way back then. And she was talking about that too, and I understand it. It's ironic the way how politics could be seen as being so virtuous, but yet nearly everyone sees a politician as being an evil person.
And that's the thing, eh? So I would have sometimes even delivering goods and services to people who I grew up with my whole life. I go on the block and I check them and say, hey, look, I have an opportunity here for you.
Yeah.
And they end of the conversation by, you know, all the thieving billions of dollars. So what you're really doing for me here is nothing. And I saying, bro, I'm not paying my rent. I often tell person whenever they come to me with that now, I serve in a 20-member council.
Yeah.
So I have 20 councils, 20 of us, inclusive of myself. We sit around this horseshoe.
Yeah.
Most meetings I chair or I sit at the head of the table. And irrespective of party, because we have 13 PNM, we came in with 7 UNC. I don't know what Samuel Sanka doing. He's a trip by himself.
I wanted to talk about him. I don't know the man personally, but the news I like him
Right.
personally.
So, and I could say that, bar none, I don't see any of them who came in there saying, let me rob and pull for the country. Yeah. So, what is discussed on the outside about politicians? And I'm not saying that this is the perfect, these are perfect persons, but I'm saying that because we go about looking for the blemish in the fruit, that's all we will see now. Yeah, that's all we see. And so let me talk about Seema Ramsaran Augustine. She's a councillor for Bamboo. And would have been last week, Wednesday or Tuesday, Watson Duke show up to my office with these Bamboo residents because they're not getting representation.
Yeah.
And I said, fine, no problem, I'll see you all. I was actually going to a sod turning. And I say, okay, I'll come back and I say, Mr. Duke, with all due respect, I've seen it, I'm doing this once, but next time if you want to see me, just call me. And I'll come. Don't show up here because I might be doing something unless you're trying to call me and don't get me. So and mutual respect, and we shake hands on that, and that's the understanding. But when the residents came and they started to complain, I had to say, you know, Seema, though she is my political opponent, represents the concerns of Bamboo at every meeting. So let us not start the conversation with saying that you all have no representation.
Correct.
More could be done, and we have to have a baseline respect for each other. But more and more what I've been seeing, especially online, is that politicians not doing anything. Now, if you continuously hammer at people who obviously live in a house, going in flood, doing what they're supposed to do, and all we preach about is what they're not doing. I don't know how we expect it to pan out going forward, because as I said, I am not talking about party. Seema is a UNC councillor. Jalen Rupnaran is a UNC councillor. Samuel Sanka is not a PNM. Right, and Richard Rampersad. And we used to have arguments all the time. However, I do see them as, so what is spoken about them online, I struggle to see those people.
You don't see that represented in reality.
No.
That is something that I wanted to ask about, you know, look, being a politician on the inside. So, like, going back to the statement made by the Senate President, I understand why it would be virtuous. Because politics is business of the polity, business of the people.
Yeah.
And you're a servant to the people. There is no way that could not be virtuous in what it is.
But you're also the leader.
Exactly. And the problem is, there are infinite wants and finite resources to deal with infinite wants of what? How many people in that Tunapuna region?
275,000. Living there, and then we have another 100,000 transient going to Trinity Mall, the airport, Mongtu.
And the reality is, there's no way any politician could fulfill everything you want. No politician is going to give you everything you want.
But so, also to take the cop out, we need to decide what is the baseline level of service.
Correct.
And what I could agree with is that our baseline level of service needs to improve.
Correct.
Let's not. So I'm saying that the baseline level of service from Kwasi Robinson, the chairman of the Tunapuna Commission, needs to improve.
Here's something as you say that. Our acting police commissioner, a problem, I'm not trying to put you in trouble. A problem that I have with him sometimes. A problem that I have with him sometimes. More than once he said this. We're trying our best. The police are doing our best. Now, I think I understand what he's trying to say. But if murders are at a record high, to say you're doing your best is saying obviously your best isn't good enough.
Understood.
So then, if you're telling us you're doing your best, then to me, it's nearly like you're saying it's best you all fire me and find somebody who could do better.
So, pause right there. Stop right there. My impression of the commissioner changed once I started to listen to his entire press conferences or be in functions where he speaks about his. So, what we may be hearing is the clip.
True.
True. But we missing the hour where he would speak about hearts and minds going in, because what he has also said, and this is, I am at odds with the police in the so I am saying, I am not defending it, but I as be in war with the police on principal matters.
Yes.
In my region.
Correct.
But I'm saying what he has said in St. Joseph, when I go to these police council meetings, community council station council meetings, he says that there are some things that the police are not designed to do.
Correct. Fully agree.
And we need the support of the community, the schools, the churches, and I agree with that. Because one of the things that I drove home is I remember it was the police in term fight, but how the environment impacts people's behavior. And going back to when I first became involved in politics, 2013, I remember looking at everywhere double homicides or triple homicide took place. And I can't tell the difference in the place because the places look the same. Derelict vehicles, bush around, so
galvanized.
So it is also environmental factors. So
Correct.
We have to look at those things. So I'm saying that I'm not agreeing with that clip, but I'm saying if when you listen to some of his contributions in its entirety, also says those things. So for me, my frustration is sometimes when you see the derelict vehicle, move it.
Broken windows policy.
And I mean not to enforce at that extreme. Don't just shake down everybody who have a broken taillight. Because that also leads to police brutality. We know but I'm saying there are some situations where we need to rectify. If you look at the schools that perform well, look at particular, and that is one of the reasons why. So one of my persons who I rely on for support is Nyan. She understands that. She understands education. I call her the mother of education. And again, person's perceptions of her are confined to 15-second clips. When you have people here who can 24 hours a day, and what you judging them on is maybe in this interview they'll judge me on a 15-second clip, but really and truly it is in the entirety of their contribution. So to the commissioner, police, or even my council members, when I tell people we need to improve our baseline level of service, I then diffuse that whole. It's no longer combat. How are we going to improve the baseline of love service? Right? And how do we do that?
How do you do that in Tunapuna? How do you think you'll do that?
Well, one of the things that we have been improving is our communication. Because sometimes people just don't know what is the expectation of us and don't know what we are supposed to do for them.
As you say that I consider myself reasonably knowledgeable in some things. But you see, what exactly local government is supposed to do? The division between what is local government. Who am I supposed to go and look at my councillor for? Who am I supposed to go to an MP for? What is supposed to be for Ministry of Works?
Right. So, and pause, the Ministry of Works is responsible for 21% of the roads. So chances are the bad road they complain about is not Minister Sinanan's fault.
I've heard that.
And this is the truth. So for example, under my purview, I have over 2,500 roads. It's the largest in the country. Compared to...
And those are under
my purview.
All right.
So when we say I need to improve my delivery, then we now get to these things cost money.
You all have enough in your budget to upkeep all of that?
No. And that's where the conversation comes now about property tax and those and I believe that people should be compensated for the work. I believe that 100%. The question now comes out of my $170 million that I have to run the region, to engage in the conversation, how are we going to fix this, how are we going to do better? 110 or 11 million is salaries. 44 million is garbage collection. Utilities make up another $2 or $3 million, and then I have operational electoral issues. I pay the office rent, which is another $1 million.
So in other words, you have less than 10 million
to deliver these things. And so then the conversation now becomes, do we, as we continue to increase person salaries that are required for them to live, the higher those salary bill goes up in relation to my overall budget, is the less going forward I'll be able to do unless we find another revenue source.
So is it, I understand totally what you're saying. I understand. That sounds like an impossible problem. Is it that our government employs too many people on a whole?
No. I'm not saying that.
So you don't think so?
For me,
yeah,
I believe that's one of the ways that you change the environment and change people's perspective is by gainful employment.
But I agree, 100%. So here's my question on that. Is how often is government employment really gainful employment? Isn't some of it inefficient labor, teaching what people talk about, the bad work practices that many trainees have? Isn't some of that the fault of getting a government work?
So pause. And I like that conversation because then I look at the companies such as Twitter, where people get free lunch. So the new CEO came in Twitter, and what I'm saying, Twitter was successful.
Yeah.
And all of us went to Twitter. Twitter was growing in a situation where people, according to our colloquial belief, they're doing bad work. They don't have a fulfilling employment. So I'm saying that the conversation shouldn't always be about comparing what you do as a teacher to somebody might cut in the grass at the side of the road. Because there are, if we believe that things need to fix, then there are things in any operation that you're doing, there are things that you need to do to stop the bleeding. Yeah. And then because that's the first thing is, how do we stop the bleeding? Before you get whatever you do, how do we stop the hemorrhage? And I'm saying that creating employment for persons, whether it be gainful or whatever it is critical for the advancements of people.
So you're in looking at that, you don't see that 110 being able to reduce for you already and truly.
For me, if it was up to me, to run my corporation efficiently, I think my labor bill may be somewhere in the range of 120, 130.
So in other words, you're supposed to hire more people.
For example, I have one cemetery that's 20 acres.
The cemetery that is?
Tunapuna cemetery, what you understand what 20 acres is? And the car send, it's actually 22 acres, and the car send machinery because it headstones. Yeah. So it's one of the most difficult places to, we spray it and we buy more workers, but I'm saying, if you put in one man to cut an acre, you need at least 20 men inside there, and I have 9 cemeteries. So I have 1,600 workers.
What make you want that work by?
I actually left politics after 2013 to 2016. I actually left, and I stayed on working with the politicians, but I get up very early. I don't get up as early as before. Yeah. I used to get up very early, like 4 or 5, and go out to work, and then work whole day, and then work in the night, and I used to go to my constituency after like a long day and telling them, what we're trying to achieve, and they would just hammer me for hours after, and I was just like, nah, I can't do this.
You've been recently voted as the social media officer of PN, right?
Correct, yeah.
Is it possible that in communication, all corporations open a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter profile, and they have someone just running that constantly? It's not propaganda, because this is your job. You're just outlining everything you do.
So let me tell you, when I became chairman, that's one of the first things I did in terms of our Facebook page. So we had a online series called Man on the Ground, where we interviewed workers and tell people what the workers would say, what they do, and that changed. We saw, in one particular area, which is in Blancheshire, Santa Rosa, in addition to having a very good council and a very good PHO there, I believe that it was because we featured almost everybody on a particular team that the councillor continued to see efficiency and improvement in his team. So that's what I did. And then people who know me turn around and say he's only promoting himself, and I was like,
You can't win that.
And that's the thing is, it's a funny line because I post when I give people support.
Yeah.
But the reason why I switched my belief on it because I didn't used to do it before. Because people then say, "Oh, you do anything for anybody, or you do it for nobody."
And then when you show them,
you're saying, "Why are you showing people?" It is a very thin line, and yes, the corporations need to be more effective with our online presence, and that's something we constantly work on. But I can say for the Tunapuna Corporation, where I came in 3 years ago, what we met and where we are now, it's some improvement, but it's things that could slip because, for example, our initial flood relief in the affected areas at the end of November, I didn't pay attention to having any camera come out.
Yeah.
So initially the conversation was the government not doing anything. That was the initial conversation, but that wasn't, and it is also an insult to the workers.
Yeah,
because I don't go and rescue people anymore.
Yeah.
My team members, the workers, the stakeholders go out there. And I know these people going out there risking their life
And working
hard.
Yeah.
And then people saying, because they have a platform, nothing is happening. Which is not so. After when the water went down, and we started to put out the content, that talk just evaporated. Like there is no more talk about nothing happening. Yeah, because but again, in the heat of the moment, my consideration is not calling my camera crew.
Yeah. The consideration is to do the job at hand.
And I actually have a Hummingbird Medal Bronze for my flood response in Greenvale. So I've led the relief.
In 2018.
I was in council. I'd come out of council. I was working with the officer chairman.
2018. We have some vans. 2018, we went out there and we're giving out some stuff.
So,
man, that was...
Yeah, so, and even for me now, the night when the water came, I started to relive that trauma. Like, I had to stop for a little while. I just, like, center myself and be like, okay, you have this crazy. I went through this before because what happened in 2018 was persons started to say that people were drowning.
Yeah, I heard that.
And people were saying bodies piling up, and so that's what actually got me to go eat. Like, I ran in the water. It's like, nah, we're taking too long here to see people die, and I ran in. And so, you know, that whole trauma of you're looking for a body that's not actually there. Imagine seeing on Facebook, it's a body by the fence.
Yeah.
And you know, like, scoping the whole fence.
And you don't wonder where anybody is.
And then they gave the name of somebody. I can't remember the name now. But the person was actually in the shelter registered already because we
They're killing off people.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, so I had to just like gather myself because I started to be like anxiety started to build up. Like, is this?
I repeat.
Yeah, I repeat this. You know, and when I saw the height of the water, because I know bamboo, I rented there for a couple of years. So I know when I see a mark by this wall, that's like 6 foot water. And most people are 6 foot high. So we have a problem immediately now. Like, a child is 2, 3 foot, 4 feet.
Correct.
And so I had to deal with that. Like, from a personal standpoint, now, like, I had to call.
So, as you say something there, and it now Santa Rosa in the east, Bamboo in the west. All lies in TPRC.
Everything as far as I could see, like that Professor told Simba, as far as the horizon, and then Blanche shares in the north.
So, St. Joseph region is your...
Yeah, St. Joseph.
Wow. On the property tax, ask the tax. I could agree with the property tax. Here's where I have some problems. The question is, if I have $300, do I think you, as a politician, would spend it better than me as the individual? That's how I'm talking about me as a selfish individual.
Okay, so pause right there. By that methodology, then you wouldn't send your wife any grocery or anything, because nobody could do it as good as you.
Well, it's according to who.
And my point of it is this: representation and politics and policy making doesn't end at election day. And how I always tell people my entire allocation is by design. I have $160, $170 million. So you understand where we are.
Listen. Telling people that, you see how you just told me the 170 and then you break down 110.
Yes.
It makes, and then when you having the understanding 22 acres of a cemetery, it gives you more honest perspective of something.
And one of the things that I was not able to, one of the pieces of content that I wasn't able to put out, and I'm hoping to do it in 2023, is an actual breakdown of our monthly expenditure and report to the people. So that is one of the ways I think people will feel a little bit better about the
Property tax.
And I'm not even talking about it in the context of the property tax. I'm saying, how do we pay for it?
Yeah.
Let us not. Yeah. I have faith in my the government and the cabinet to make that decision on the property tax or whatever they think will, because they have information that we don't have.
Right.
I respect that. But I'm saying, for my man on the ground, let's have the conversation about how we see the chairman, how we going and pay for this, how we going and fix this. And if you're telling me, when people tell me about politicians only thief any money, my next question is where?
Where they thief any money?
But from, like, tell me where. And these billions and billions and billions and billions that they say is lost and is stolen. I'm saying, okay, there is some of that, because we know those in the news, but let us calm down now and strip down these agencies one by one. And let us see. So, for example, in local government, that has about, I would say, I think $2 billion or $1 billion. 201, I can't remember the exact, but let us call it $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
I'm saying that is almost half of that is salaries.
Yeah.
Next half is sanitation. So, yes, the garbage collection could be better.
But in other words, even if thieving going on, it's only so much that could thief.
And knowing that too, we think our problem is the thieving.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that, because we focus on, unless somebody thieving the $100 million salaries, that salaries is paid.
Yeah.
So the conversation now becomes, how do we make this $100 million work better for us?
Yeah.
How do we improve the garbage collection?
Correct.
And improving the garbage collection might be putting a GPS on each garbage truck. So your phone vibrates when the garbage truck coming, but that has a cost.
Correct.
And,
You're right.
And the cost for that is...
Who is going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for that?
And I am not saying that some projects can be cut on, but if you develop your country in a way that you only pay recurrent expenditure, then we all stay in trouble.
Yeah.
So it is a balancing act that I don't know all the answers for. And that's the truth. However, what I am doing is, while I'm here, I'm committed to working on it.
The finishing of the question with the property tax is, who could spend it better, as you say? But it's really a matter of trust, as you rightfully point out. Trusting. And if more local government were to do just as you're proposing there, you give people a rundown of this. Because if my local government said they wanted property tax from me, $300, okay, but if when I gave that, I could look around and I see, okay, well, this was done, the roads that I've been complaining about, this bridge over there that was falling down, I could see, okay, the property tax that I gave here went right here. But I listened when I think it was the former Attorney General was talking about the property tax, and I believe he was pointing out that the property tax would come into the national
Consolidated fund.
And that worries me, to be very honest.
Yeah, but again, I hear that and I receive that fully. But I say that is the national coffers giving me the money anyway.
Yeah.
So, and we don't stop to see when it improves. I remember, because I grew up in the corridor, there was a time when Mount Hope was called Mount Hopeless.
Yes, I remember that.
Right.
I remember
now
that.
we down to almost no babies dying in Mount Hope.
Good news don't make news.
No, but I'm saying we would have spent money on improving the infrastructure.
I recently had a baby and she was in NICU, so I could give credit at where credit is due.
So Mount Hope, and I'm not saying this because I know the staff there. I'm saying it because before knowing them, I actually set out to meet them because I wanted to know, how did you transform Mount Hopeless back to Mount Hope? Because that was the I remember people were saying that I go pour us into the little baby, I go brandy, don't go Mount Hope.
I remember that
was like
distinctly.
And now it is like people, you know anybody by Mount Hope, I want to get a room in Mount Hope. So I'm saying that we have in the past and presently found ways to improve our service delivery, and Mount Hope is an example. And that's why when I see all people trying to pull down Mount Hope, I was like, this this is an insult to the hardworking men and women who going in to communities, because one of the ways that they helped improve that, because I asked, is how to go and do the home visits with the nurses. So they were able to track and get
You see, we wouldn't know that.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, because and I speak to them and because it's health, they are very privacy. So they are very close with telling these stories. But I always ask them like sometimes we guys make a joke and say how many millions in surgeries did you do for the day? Because people think that when they get an injury and they get stitched up, that's just like
free.
Yeah,
I know exactly. Here's the thing. I have a political ideology that is on the economic side more right wing. That's the way I see it. I find people should pay for more things on their own. Personally, that's my personal.
That's inside.
Yeah,
that's it. But when I face them, when I see what's happening out there, I just be like, nah.
But the reality is, when you do that, is the people who could least afford it are the people who are going to get hurt the most. I understand that. I totally understand that. So, as you say, a line to tread, in my mind, a line to tread also is the line of you have to do things together as a group at political government level if you're looking to help people. If you do it on it's going to get bleak. It's going to get bleak. But why isn't it possible for something like the property tax? They were redoing the whole legislation. Why isn't it possible for that to go straight to my regional corporation coffers?
So, do we need it to go there?
I believe in the United Kingdom, that's what they do.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying in our system here, I have no problem with a Minister of Finance sitting down and look at, because what we should be functioning as a subnational plan. As a country, we're trying to do this projects, which is what I think we need more of that. This is what the country's supposed to look like. Okay. Not this Zion Tunapuna, because what will happen, again, as you were saying with the right-wing thinking, a place like Piarco, that might need more than me, if we're talking property tax. Remember, I have more houses than everybody.
Correct.
And what will happen then, my streets will be paved with gold. Yeah. And then Piarco and Penal Debe will be suffering. So, it is that, because I can tell you, we almost get the same allocation for roads.
As Piarco?
As all the other corporations, roughly the same. And it leaves me disadvantaged, but it is never enough. And as much as I kick and scream to my minister now, good night, Faris, I understand when they say, hey, we call it Piarco, we call it Penal Debe rundown. So
that makes sense.
So it is one of the things where we say, like, come straight to Tunapuna, but Springer, want all the money from Tunapuna to go to Tunapuna. Because I have Trinity Mall, I have Mukau Industrial Estate, I have...
No, not all taxes.
No, I'm saying the property tax. If I have more houses than you.
But if you have more houses, wouldn't that mean you have to service more people?
No, I understand, but if as a country, so there are some services, the road infrastructure, but then there are other things when they want to bring up somebody from the debts, that has to look at, it has to be holistic. So, yes, I have more people and yes, I need more money, but I am fine as a leader saying, Piarco, get some
Tunapuna.
Yes. And
here's where I would think on this. My personal, because of the nature of property tax and Trinidad.
Yeah.
You know Trinidad, well, nowhere like taxes, but Trinidad we have a special.
Yeah, we don't like tax at all.
I feel it may have been more effective because this is what they're saying they're going to use it for is for local government.
Yes.
Which property tax for local government makes sense.
That's England.
Many people talk about
your council tax in England is one of the you don't have to pay a light bill, but you must pay council tax.
And that makes sense. It makes sense. If I am living here, as you say, 21% is Ministry of Works. That means most is my local government. I want them. So I wouldn't mind paying property tax to them. And I feel property tax goes straight to the local government that are responsible for you. And the other general finances, you use some of that to supplement and bring up the others.
I hear that, but again, I also don't believe that I have all the information. Some of the reasons why I don't beat up on some of these things, I mean, there are things I beat up on. Trust me, there are things I beat up on. But the reason why I don't beat up on some of these things is because I feel that there are logical reasons why they tried. I may not know. And that way now it leaves me open to having this conversation, because there are things I don't know, and this is a learning experience for me. And also, I'll give an example of that. So the Minister of Finance sent out a memo saying the corporations could generate the revenue and the chairman's fund could get 70% of it.
Generate your revenue how?
So for us as Eddie Hat, we have Eddie Hat, we have the Tunapuna revenue generation within, and so we generate around $2-3 million out of the money that we really need, which is 200 million. So we generate around 1.5% of the money we need to spend. However, that $1 million, it goes to back to school projects. It goes to, so I see the benefit of that, and of course I wish I had more. Because right now some of our flood relief efforts coming directly from that to give food cards, food support cards to supplement. So it is, I see the benefit of that, because for back to school, we did a back to school drive during COVID. I was able to use some of that money. But again, it's a balancing act, because during COVID, where we generated revenue, I would have waived the rent. So when I waived the rent from the business people, no revenue. So the people who have no business and have no job, I had less samples to give them.
It's as you say, balancing.
It's balancing. So, and then when people, then when you implement the rent again, people come and say, we can't pay, we are blind, it was COVID, and then it's like, but yeah, I need this money to.
It's not like I need the money for myself.
Yeah, but I need this money to give to the people.
So you could run the corporation basically like a business with the Eddie Hat stuff and things like that.
Nah, I mean, I'm far from that, but eventually if we continue to develop...
Not you personally, but the corporation.
If we focus on a medium to long-term plan, I believe that the Tunapuna Corporation could be one of the sustainable regions.
As you say, medium to long term. A problem in Trinidad politics. Vision 2020. But then parties change. Now, you see, I mean, it's just reality of voting.
No, it's not only voting. Huh? The issue is that a lot of our politics here, we identify with it. So if Kwasi does a project, then it is, so we identify a lot of these things. So it is the UNC's airport, and it's Patrick Manning Stadium, and it is, we identify these people, not that, and we don't, if somebody else do it, in most occasions they do take ownership. The country, it remains UNC airport, and it remains Patrick Manning Stadium.
So it's not in the next party's best interest to finish the previous parties.
Yeah, and nobody could tell me there are complaints about the Turova Stadium, right? The Brian Cricket Academy. Yeah. Have you ever been?
Yeah.
It's nice. And I'm saying that when all this conversation was going on about these projects, I went to check out the price of steel now. Yeah. Because I was having an argument that and during that period the steel went up like 300-400%.
Reconstruction.
Even the Nets basketball arena, it ran out, and that's what caused the problems with Arsenal. Nets, anybody who was constructing stadiums around that time ended up in a problem. Yeah. And even in our conversation, because I'm a citizen, I hear the conversation, it was devoid of any of that. So I'm looking at EPL on Saturday, and they're talking about how Arsenal and problems they can't buy players because we have the Highbury Flats project bus, and Nets had the problem with finishing moving back to Brooklyn, and you hear people locally talking about the price of the Cricket Academy going up, but no, like globally.
My content, my hope for my content, what I do, is to do some of that. That's what I try to do. Like, you look at the topic and you try to show people that there are more sides than just the obvious party talk side of this.
And I'm not saying I do profess the opinion to be perfect. You wouldn't see me anywhere saying, PNM is God gives the child.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I belong to the party, and I'm working through this organization to deliver to the people. And when we have any problems, we'll fix it. And I'm also saying, do not have a project that could bring benefit to the country and make it about politics. We have time for that. because I don't try to make the conversations about the service I do about politics. You know, I try to make it about how do we fix this now? How do we do better for the people? And once we focus there, the politics will take care of itself.
So you're saying how you do better, communication.
Communication, yeah, for sure. That's like
number one.
Yeah, that because from that everything flows. And again, I've done a horrible job in some instances with that.
Yeah.
I can tell you, like some things I used to do a horrible job with that. Two, I think identifying where we are going to be, like what is the goal?
Vision.
Yeah, like what is that? Like where? So for example, QREP. QREP is deplorable.
Yeah.
You need to improve QREP, but what does the
what you gonna do with it?
What does the improved QREP mean? And then what does that mean for the street levelers? What does that mean for the man on the street? We're not talking about street levelers, we're talking about the man who just lives like
hustling.
Yeah, the hustler in QREP.
Yeah.
What does that mean for and these conversations are important. What does that mean for the taxi drivers?
And you have to ask that. I remember with the scrap iron business that went on recently, and people were talking about, well, them men is thieves and things, so them deserve that. And the point I was making was, one, even if all of them are thieves, even if that is true, you don't think you should pay attention to what 15,000 thieves going to do without the usual thieving job? And the other part is they aren't all thieves. And these people live in the same country with you. So even if you're thinking just on the selfish level, if you interfere with people who have nothing else to lose, on the selfish level, that is going to come back to you too.
And those are some of the same voices who say all politicians are thieves.
Yeah.
So it is because to ask yourself that in-depth question means you have to look at yourself.
Yeah.
And people don't want to look at themselves.
In my lives, when I'm doing the lives, regularly people talk about this one, or if why you don't go and choose the next one, and why you don't go up and the point I try to make is a lot of the problems you see in politics and problems with PNM, UNC, PD, many of the problems are human nature problems.
And the chief secretary and the THA have an issue now with the check situation.
Hey,
and I've seen a comment where people say it's the administrator's fault.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to talk about that. I'm saying in the context of what I have experienced as a chairman of the corporation, I know what malicious compliance is. You have a public servant or a senior public official doing the job, but in a malicious way. And again, it is easy to say a politician is a thief or a liar.
Yeah.
That's just like there's no thought. You don't have to go for somebody to say.
That's the quickest thing.
Yeah, like that's easy for them to say that. And what I've started to do in my community, because I grew up in Lohokota, I bought my first home there. I was prepared to settle, and then I had my cousin who I grew up with too was a victim of gun violence. He was murdered. Like I hear they shot. I was sleeping home and they shot wake me up. I just sold the house and I was just like, you know, I don't have this thing. I can't serve people. Like if this is what they do here, with no motive, like I can't be in my community. I mean, I lasted all of 6 months. I come back in my community. I'm back here. But I always ask my community, okay, you're complaining about me. That's fine. Okay, name somebody else who you think will do better for you, or name somebody else who's doing better now in the next community. Like just look at it, please tell me. Like the things that you all complain about me, which you all find to complain, tell me like help me to help you. Like,
show me where the better is.
Yeah,
show me where the better
I'm not saying that I'm the greatest, but I have given, you know, and again, it is easy to say it is your fault. So this podcast here is spreading propaganda. This is your fault. And we need to shut down this podcast to make the place better.
Just now, a guy who watches some of my content is convinced because, you know, I criticize everybody. And then sometime I said something and he find it song in 2 p.m. for a while. And he say that you all got to me and you all are paying me. I say the check lost in the mail because I never got that check.
And once you... So daily, the new trend is all these true accounts and all these social media accounts that show pictures of potholes, right?
Yeah.
Every year, each corporation would do about, I would think, about 50 roads, maybe. Let's just say so there are 187 council members, 137, sorry. Let's just say each of them did 2 road projects. It's 300. Other than state media or the corporation pages or politician promoting that, I've never seen it. Like I've never seen the media, social media, I've never seen any of these pages say, unless they're making joke that because you spoke about it, it's fixed.
Yeah.
No, I can tell you, it is almost impossible to go and fix something the night after somebody talk about it. I would have had to be in training for months. That's not...
It don't work like that.
I wish it used to work like that. I wish it would work like that. And it's easy to just post up the negative. And as we were talking before, I don't know if I catch it on the podcast, we were talking about the doom and gloom.
Yeah.
That this generation of doom and gloom, and it is all bad, and it is... I'm not saying that we don't need to improve.
Yeah.
It can't be all bad because your party not in power. If that's the situation, we have a problem.
I remember in 2010, I think it was, or 2015, one out of those 2 elections, I remember I made a post and I said, if whichever party you're supporting, tell me 5 good things about the opposite party. And you know how many people did insults for the 5 good things? 5 insults about the party they don't like. And to me, that shows a certain kind of thinking in Trinidad where, as you say, to say they do nothing good. That is a lie. That is a lie. Regardless, the 2 parties that have been in power basically in Trinidad, UNC and PNM, there's no possible way to look around the country and say both of them did nothing.
That was actually yesterday on the radio. It was like, we need a change. You going on PNM, there's nothing not happening in the country. I'd be like, bro, just for me alone, I pay 600 people every fortnight. Like, and that money, thank the Minister of Finance and thank the cabinet, every fortnight that money is there. Like, even during COVID when oil is negative and everything, like, the money
was there.
Salaries, like overdraft, whatever salaries coming, and the salary is not short and it's there.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that in the context that right across the road in Barbados, where they love the Prime Minister, they have to send on public servants. So I'm like, are we devoid of any critical thinking?
We don't have perspective. Trinidad, most things in Trinidad are better than the vast majority of places in the world. Yeah. And many people don't have that understanding. And that's the point I try to make. Now, as you say, that's not to give an excuse.
No, we have to improve.
Yeah.
So one of my pet peeves is there's a pothole when I came into office, parallel to the bus route right next to the corporation.
Yeah.
And I used to manage artists.
Yeah.
And once we got a booking from Crab Connection, like this is Kojo.
Yeah.
You know, community leader Kojo. I remember driving up to do this event on Laventry Road and seeing all the walls painted and all the lamp posts painted. I was like, where are we going? You know? And I was like, nah, this is how and I said, I tell my team, like, at least when people driving up to the corporation, let the roads be good now. Don't let people be falling on a pothole in Pasture Road. And to date, and I mean, and even understanding COVID and everything, to date, there are still potholes on Pasture Road.
As you say that, you're the chairman of the corporation.
Yeah, chairman. So nobody, like, after me is the minister.
And you are unable to get potholes in the road of your corporation building fixed.
Yes. But so it is one, when we got money last year, I had a choice. And this is choices.
Yeah.
We could have patched the holes closer to UE, patched the holes closer to the corporation.
But you couldn't patch both.
I didn't have enough money to patch both. And because people were home from UE, I took the decision to patch the ones closer to UE.
Yeah.
And now, again, those deteriorate again. So I would make some additional allocation and tell them patch around UE again. And it goes further than this. Where my mother lives, in Davide, I have to go through mud. Mother Road is unpaved. And it probably have 4 houses on that street. And in all good countries, I can't pave Mother Road. But
They're going to lick you for that.
I don't know. It's not about the licks.
But they will for sure.
What I'm saying, if I did not speak about it,
Yeah.
and I could have paved that road
And
quietly,
nobody knew.
because that is also what is expected of politicians.
True.
So that type of behavior is almost
Slight nepotism.
Yeah, it's like, slight, slight sweet sauce, right? And I'm saying, no, that type of behavior is normal.
Yeah.
That type of behavior, that wouldn't be,
Out of the ordinary.
no, only if I do something and I vex with me, then don't talk about it. But on a normal day,
Yeah.
that's par course. But I'm saying for me, to serve my burgesses properly and also to have that in my own mental court alone, how do I judge myself?
Yeah.
So the council actually came and said, Chairman, we as a council want to try and do some work on the mother road, because we know, and again now, if the chairman not fixing his mother road, how do the rest of the team come to fix it from by them?
Yeah.
And also they came and say, Chairman, you have to fix everything, because now I hold in myself that I stand
Yeah.
But Christmas, last year Christmas I went, it rain had fall sometime close to Christmas.
Still happy.
It's mud, and now this Christmas going back and rain mud again, like rain falling. So I mean, my mother understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, when the neighbors not so much, but my mother understands. I tell her, Mommy, it is, it's at 3 houses on the street here, and
Priorities. But you paved by UE last year. This year it deteriorated.
well, different places, remember?
It's different
yeah,
places, not the same place.
No, not the same hole. But what I'm saying, so okay, because of the sink by UE there, so the north gate, the main north gate, there are always holes that appear there from time immemorial, so that it might be a structural issue, but from time they appear different places, going around by the double stand, close to the tunnel, going around that road there. Maybe it could just be the amount of traffic too, because that has an impact on it. Motor cars that's the main gate where people have to come. So I'm saying that we constantly have to do maintenance work there. That's the reality of it.
Here, as well, you said it's another area, but something I wonder about, because I saw this in my area already. Substandard work.
Yes, so we have that issue. But the next issue that we also have to realize, cost of something. What does this cost, and how much should we be paying for it? So that's one of the things, again, shout out to Faris.
Yeah.
He's working on standardizing prices. How much should this thing cost? So one of the complaints that I have heard from contractors is scope in this project too low. So I've heard that now, because so materials continue to rise.
Yeah.
The same salary issue, people are saying the same, and things getting more expensive. It's the same thing for contractors. Continue to, and those are the issues that we have. And I'm saying that in the context of, we also have people who do shoddy work. However, again, we must, every conversation I want to have with a stakeholder, we must go deeper. It can't just be all the doing shoddy work. What is going on here? Well, the crushing we getting is more expensive now. We can't get bitumen. But all those issues now form part of the conversation. And the next important conversation I have is the weight of the trucks. So I'm also on the transport board. And prior to going on the transport board, there's a local government rep, because the legislation dictates that you could have reps from local government. Great. I went on the board, there was a brilliant man on the board, much older than me. And one of the things that being in the seat of the office of the chairman has taught me is the power of experience. Prior to that, I used to be like, these men all should go, man. But then I recognize that there are things that you just don't know quick. So take your time, come down from there. And
you could think about it. You could think yourself now and go and talk to yourself 50 years ago, and you know a lot more than you knew back then.
Right. And those overweight trucks, so standard across the country, these trays that they have been put on these trucks are larger than what we stipulate each axle should carry the load. So the Transport Commissioner, the Commissioner of Police, through his representative and Transport Board, is working on clamping down those things, repairing the scales, because there is a metric by which to protect the roads. And those things do immense amount of damage, because those people who live in the quarries want to carry as much as possible. So again, because we don't have, we might be better than other countries, but we also have different problems in those countries.
Sure.
And those problems require us to sit and have real conversations. Because one of the truck operators came to my office. Again, people come to me because I opened up all this.
Yeah.
Half of the problems they come to me for shouldn't be directed to me, but I don't listen. And he came and said, sell my truck that could carry 10 yards or whatever the figure was. But the nice enough is charging me. And the tell him I could only carry 7 yards. And I was like, so when you got the approval for the truck, it would have said how much you could carry here. But they sell me the tray with that could carry 10 yards. I'm like, sir, it doesn't matter what size tray you put on it.
The truck. the truck.
And I spent like a better part of 30 minutes conversation with this man that it doesn't matter the size of the, because what people continuously do just make bigger trays
and put it on the same truck
that could be load needs to be distributed.
So even beside the road problem, that is a road hazard on its own.
Yeah.
Because it's bigger than what the truck made for.
And that's why you see this big blowout of tires and things. You see those you have those issues and that's where you have the rippling on the roads. You actually see the trucks on them when they're trying to stop they actually compressing the asphalt. It's too heavy.
The reason I was pointing about the workmanship level, a road around this region was paved not too long ago, well, actually multiple times. And when you look at the surface after it starts to come back up, you're looking at the asphalt and it's like 3/4 inch.
Yeah, you see.
I'm wondering, who would have decided it was a good idea to pave it with 3/4 inch asphalt? Wouldn't it have made more sense, instead of paving it twice with 3/4 inch asphalt, you save that, don't pave it this year, don't pave it next year, you take it on the third year and you pave it the 1.5 inches or how much ever is recommended.
Shout out to my Minister Faris Alwari. It takes so long to get a project through, which is now the minister trying to remove some of the bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
Most corporations, by design, do these projects that fall below the CEO's award, below $300,000. So they're cutting the cloth to fit that amount. And because to go through the next process, which is what is called, I think, regional tenders, so there's a next level. That takes so long that in most instances the year expires. So coming in, as soon as the minister came in, he realized, hey, this thing had to change.
So that's why, so I was watching on a road in our region here. They paved like 100 meters of the road. And before the road and after the road where they paved it is bad. I was like, but why only 100 meters?
Alright, so pause. Take up in there. It's actual figures. We were allocated $10 million a year for developmental projects.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear them talking in Parliament, they either refer to it as your PSIP, your Public Sector Investment Program, or your DP projects, developmental projects.
Right.
So that's the two ways they refer to it. We were allocated $10 million. That's the most money in terms of road paving that I have ever gotten as chairman.
Yeah.
We usually get between $4.5 and $5 million. So we decided we're going to operate the first half the equal amount. $315,000 per council, I think it will out. 200 plus.
Yeah.
Per councillor for the 16 council members that we have. The first $5 million.
Yeah.
Now, that road that you're speaking about might be $500,000 a pave. But when we split it up evenly, you're getting $300,000 per councillor.
Yeah.
And then the next $5 million, I broke it up where people either got between $500,000 and $200,000.
Depending on need.
And also there were some people who were not PNM who I would have given an additional $250,000 last year, which was the UE projects, which was patching around there and patching Uropun Boulevard.
Right.
Like around Uropun, because their roads infrastructure has been deteriorating rapidly. Right. So when they come currently, I be like, but I'm the only chairman to have paved there since, so all that be telling me up here, but I would have allocated out of $5 million, $250,000 to help you all. But yet still they roasted me like everywhere. And so they would have only gotten, those two councils would have only gotten $200,000 because I had to now level back. One, it's still people who are very partisan, not in the council but outside. And when they hear the PNM chairman give $500,000 extra to UNC areas, I get roasted. And then two, I have to manage my colleagues who I need support from. So I'll be like, so some of them I say, okay, I know last time I only give UNC more. So again, that was just based on I felt that UE was open.
Yeah.
I have a good relationship with the guild, and they were asking.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, UE is and it is very difficult for us to win that seat, either in local government or general elections.
Mm-hmm.
We do win St. Augustine, and we do win Piarco, which is the local government seat. So it is not something that I'm trying to win. I'm just saying as a leader.
You saw the need.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the issue. So the next set of money, the next $5 million, where I say people either have 500,000 on the higher end or 200,000 on the lower end. We go in back and try to do Oropun. We go in and do by UE.
Yeah.
There is a route that cars take in Tunapuna on a morning between 6 and 9 where the main road is blocked off.
Yeah.
As a result of the level of traffic that goes there, that entire route is now pothole filled.
Kind of up the hill.
Yeah, right. So all those roads there on where cars turn have potholes. So I want to fix it. So I would have allocated 400,000 there because that becomes the eastbound main road on a morning.
Yeah.
So it is not as simple as. But again, if we don't have this conversation,
exactly,
people will say, "Well, why didn't pave the whole road?"
Everybody driving past that will want to know, but why you pave 100 feet of road?
Because let us just say this, and I don't know which corporation we're in. It could be Kuvata or Kitapara.
Yeah.
Right. Let us just say the allocation was $5 million, and they have, let us say, 10 councillors.
Yeah.
That's 500,000 per councillor. The average cost to pave an entire street is 200,000. That's a short street. They're talking about they can pave 2.5 streets. So I am not, again, being going the Hoover Corporation, so I have no reason to defend the UNC there. We're just talking public policy and decision making.
Yeah.
And that is why, as I said before, one of the things I wanted to do was a data dump of everything that I would have done.
Yeah.
I mean, it would of course expose my mistakes. However, I feel that the country will be better off knowing that.
I can tell you, this conversation that we have here already, I'm better off because many people would be blaming, as you say, right, the thief in the money and so where the money going and all that. And many people don't understand the stiff logistics inside of that, where it's a balancing act and you're trying to make sure enough go here and make sure enough go here. And I'm sure when people hear that, they would want to know, okay, well, you telling us that, but we would want to know where exactly it's going. And that's why I say the data dump would make a lot of sense.
Right now, we're trying to move $13 million. It's very contentious.
Move it.
It's called environment. The government allocated it for this purpose. We are making an application and say, move it from this purpose to our next purpose until the media review, which let's call it supplemental, and give us back the money supplemental. But we're saying for us to function, we need to move this money now. I'm attempting to move $14 million. The first time I discussed it with somebody, next day I got a call from a public servant in the ministry. She said they wanted to know if I'm going mad. Because we needed, so no vote except salaries got more than, I'm proposing more than $2 million. So there's several votes. But there are things that we need to do to make it big. I want to try to fix things.
Okay.
And one such way is in Curep, for example. Curep might need cleaning at night too, which require overtime. So I need to move sufficient money in overtime to try to fix Curep, because not clean Curep in the day or when you clean it in the evening, people that's come and done because as it called here in Curep, people
it's 24 hours in Curep.
But to clean Curep 24 hours requires humongous overtime. So I have to move the money there, at least attempted for 2 months. Or we have the patch roads recurrent expenditure. But I don't have money in the vote sufficient. So I want to move a couple million there to try and, so that when you call me, just go and patch you. But so boy, the public don't have enough fit. I don't know if I'll be successful with it, but they have enough fit because this is unheard of now. Because usually we do that environment at the end of the financial year. I don't think it makes any sense because we can't make any strategic decisions. And the thing is, it sets us up for the next year, but I don't ever work. I've seen it 3 times. And I know I say no. Let us like always tell me the same time we'll do it. Oh, wait till the media review. No, I'm saying that I want to. Or it's a bad habit to where a disaster happen. people have to work overtime. We don't have enough money in the vote, and we just make them wait till months to get the overtime.
While they're working now.
No, yeah, I'm saying, nah, like this can't be right.
Yeah.
Like this can't be right now. Let me fix it. Like let us get in. Let us figure out a way now. So those are the things that. And right now the public servants have enough fit. They have enough fit, and it's like you crazy. And I'm saying, okay, but if this is not the way, tell me another way that we could do this.
Yeah.
You know, because we agree that. So in the flood, my vehicle I'm assigned to the chairman as a Prado. It's been down for repairs. Expensive to fix the Prado. But during the flood, it prevented me from getting in here because my personal vehicle is not a Prado.
Yeah.
The smaller van, so I couldn't get in this. So it hampers, and that's just one example.
Yeah.
But we need to repair our fleet on the whole. We need to move more money there. And so I'm grateful for the support I received from my line minister.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to try it. You know, I tell the public servants, have a fit when it's changed now.
Is it possible to, in local government reform as it were, make just about every corporation into, as it were, the THA?
So that's the general idea.
That's the general idea of this local government.
That's the general idea of reform.
Would they have that much power then?
Even if it's, I don't always advocate for more power.
Here's where I advocate for more power closer down to the people.
Right. But however, this, even if it's incrementally more power, will have an important impact on those things.
How so?
Because just let us look at, we to get a project approved, you road. Either approve it in council. Get the estimates done by my road officers. Bring back the estimates. Approve it in council. Send it to the ministry. Get project officers come and check it. Approve it. Back to the ministry. Then go to the Ministry of Finance. Request releases. Then come to us. Then when the money comes to the ministry, then goes to the corporation. If we just cut out one of those steps, and of course, currently,
so how are they thief money in them projects, right?
Now we thief real money. All the money we thief is hundreds of millions we thief.
But I will go so back here, so back here. So, and the council is made up of bi-parties and so are they thieving across party lines and thing, right?
And as I said before, I am not saying that corruption is not
yeah.
But we need to really look at, again, people are repeating what they heard. Largely. People largely repeat what they heard. And that's not always true. That's just the fact now. It's like saying all people from the beaten are bad.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there? And in most instances the answer is no. Yeah. And have you ever been to Sealats?
I have.
Right. So I mean I've been to Sealats many times, and I'm saying that we love to generalize in this place. So all police corrupt, all politicians corrupt, all everybody lazy, and then so in essence we really just broad brush everybody as incompetent and lazy. And what does that say about yourself? Because if in other words, if we broad brushing the entire society during the PNM's internal election, I had the opportunity to visit community centers. I would not have regularly visited. And community centers are all over the country. That was delivered by the government. And it's there now, like it's a physical embodiment of delivery.
Yeah.
And then people still say in the midst of standing up in a physical structure, nothing is being done. In the midst of people successfully delivering their babies in the hospital, they're still saying, healthcare is in a mess. Like there's a lot of room for improvement. I'm not making any excuse for inefficiencies. All I'm saying is, while we acknowledge that, let us also look at things that are working and try and replicate it and move forward. Because unless we do that, we always looking outside. Look how things is in America. No, like I'm saying, look how we were able to turn around mom too. I'm not saying what things is in America. I'm saying right here. When I was a teenager and early 20s, it was Mount Hopeless, and now it's something different. Let us understand what happened there and see if we can make it.
As you rightfully say, communication and conversations. Communicate, because many people, as you were saying, that the government do not, many people sometimes they don't even have the idea of thinking of something a little outside of the box. And you display something for them like 22 acres of a cemetery.
Yeah.
When I think about it, it's like, well, obviously it's 22 acres of a cemetery. But I never thought about that like that.
Cut it off.
And somebody has to cut it. And nobody would want it to be that cemetery has bullgrass 6 feet high.
And sometimes that is the situation. And I'm asking, if you're paying $100 or $200 to bury a one-time fee, is that sufficient for us to maintain it? And we're talking about cemetery people, we're talking about the man cutting the grass, we're talking about we are roads in the cemetery, we are drainage in the cemetery.
The thing is, I spoke about this with I think my dad, I was speaking about this before. Many Trinis, we love getting stuff from the government. But you see the thing you're saying at the beginning where you're talking about how do we pay for it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the question that many people don't seem to have an answer.
And again, I'm not saying that we are at maximum efficiency. What I'm saying is where we are now, we acknowledge where we are now, and this bottle, which I want to give to you, is costing $1.
Yeah.
I only have $3. If I give you this bottle, I'm only giving 2 other people bottles for the night.
All right.
And then that's it, because that's what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, we started Eddie Hart, we generated revenue there, 40,000 a month. So okay, you get some of the money. We want to make the market more efficient, but at the same time I don't want to do it because I will hope people buying food. So I'm not going to increase the rates by the market. But
Balance.
the market is $300 a month, most people pay for a table. But if we care the price, the fisherman will pay more.
Yeah.
I go the fisherman to pay more, fish are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go near the chicken. Then they will say the chairman wicked. Because I mean, the easiest thing for people to do is to label me as a demon.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I look at, and again, even my colleagues who are UNC, in some instances, these are not force for good. They're out here fighting, and I'm happy that they could have been obstructionists.
Yeah.
My on both sides. We could have had PLM who were obstructionists, and we could have UNC who were obstructionists, but I'm saying when we sit there, I see people genuinely trying to make decisions. Right now, we're in the process of doing food support for the flood relief.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are decisions that we're making with just trying to help people with the limited resources that we have.
Yeah.
And you can't go and tell the man in the market you want to carry up his rent because you want to help give people food. He's going to blow a fuse.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you, there's a situation with the road in Eddie Hart. Anybody who uses Eddie Hart,
Yes.
will know that the road to go in Eddie Hart was deplorable.
Yeah. And the parking place.
Right, no, that parking place, that is like that primarily because of my fault. Because I don't believe that we engaged the stakeholders enough to put on the grass pavers there. We already have the grass pavers. But my position to the team is more consultation.
Yeah.
Because there's a vibrant group there, green space, and other stakeholders who want to keep Eddie Hart green.
Okay.
As I say, it's constant balancing, but talking about the paving and about the deterioration of the road.
Yeah.
So we have $10 million for roads and 7.5 for drainage.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems we have by that entrance area is drainage.
Yeah.
But the cost to fix that drainage, to have the road aesthetically pleasing, maybe, let's say the whole project will cost $300,000. But for where I will need to spend my drainage money now in Frederick Settlement and Carney, I can't go and fix that drainage now. and then I then have to pave the road, knowing because we have to improve the road because we're making money from these vendors. $800 a month.
You see what you're saying there? That's a complaint my father regularly has when he's driving on the road. Because anybody who understands it, they know a large part of what damages the road is water.
Yeah, water.
And drainage. So when the grass, the road here, grass drop thick like this, it pulls up a bit of water at the side of the road, and now all the sides of the roads have potholes with that.
But then what is required there? Again, these are conversations happening is equipment rental, rent what they call skid steer about and drop the sides of the road regularly.
Yeah.
Again, that's a cost. So we and again, I think that we will get there because I believe that within the generation of doomers and gloomers, there are people who want to have the conversation. And once we have the conversation, if I'm not the chairman next year, I don't mean I wouldn't have the conversation. I'll have the conversation, and hopefully, in us having the conversation, having the debates, we're able to understand where we need to go. Because the vendors in Etihad upset that I'm being real. But I was like, oh, people are upset that they parking, but if I gave the green space willingly, what are you doing to the other stakeholders?
Yeah. As you say, you know what you might have to do in some of that? Be a facilitator for some of the conversations, because some of those conversations may not necessarily be you and the vendors at Etihad. It might be the vendors at Etihad and Green Space. Or the vendors at Etihad and Frederick Settlement, where you need to do the drainage.
Yeah.
And so Frederick Settlement could understand that by you getting this, some other people aren't getting something. So you getting something here that other people may have wanted. And the vendors could understand that the reason you aren't getting this isn't because somebody just bad mind.
So what is actually called, somebody wrote a proposal to me when I just became chairman. It's called participatory budgeting. That's the concept.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try to implement it, but the process to get the project has already taken so long. It's like so I actually had to take, I was actually written to go on leave, so I didn't take leave for my entirety of my 3 years. Because why the discussion about the commissioner of police going on leave is so funny to me. Because it could be that he built up enough leave that he had to go.
Regularly, that's what.
So that's what happened with me. So I had to go on leave at the end of the financial year and we started this new one. So a lot of the things I wanted to implement, I just had to, because I also didn't want to be one of those leaders who, but somebody would have had to act that trying to run the corporation while, and I didn't want to be that. No. Like, let the man who acted like a vice chairman, trying to do things differently. He got successes. He was successful in so many things. I'm grateful for that now. Because it was a different perspective. So, again, I wanted to do the participatory budget and tell people, well, these are the projects that we have. Yeah. I wanted to put, not the entire 10 million, but like a 2 million and say, citizens, this is what we have. These are the projects that I think we should do. People in Orokun, you're comfortable with us paving bamboo, and people in bamboo, so that and we need some of that. No,
I think so.
No, I think that might slow down, and what also happens. But here, what is the danger of that? People with the loudest voice. They will overpower everybody and we'll have much of what we have, which is what leadership is. And I'm not trying to shirk my leadership and not make the decision, but I'm saying I want to have people understand. And ultimately, if I have to make the decision and people are upset, I'll make the decision. But I'm saying that you have to talk with people, and oftentimes the people who, so I'll give an example. Sometimes we put a road to pave, put up a project, go through all the approval, and then our next agency was they got the road, and they repaired it, but they paved the whole thing. I don't have to try and move that project.
And that's the same kind of problem we're talking about with the 14 million you're trying to move. No, it's easier to move that.
I really have to move the project too. And sometimes you move the project around the corner. It's the same street, but around the corner. That's circular. And somebody say, well, you never do that project, it's corruption. I'll be like, bro, no. Like, I'm literally just trying to deliver to the community, and I move the project down the street, and I can sign off here. People.
Is it possible? Is there somewhere people could go and look at the budget of the corporation?
Yes, it's in our. There's a big yellow book that we're going to print, and it's available on State Board's expenditure statement. So it's on the ministry website.
So you could go look to see if they're thieving in other words.
Well, no, you look at the budget, you'll know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But it is, again, if you don't have the understanding, you wouldn't.
But at least that'll build the conversation. I think many people who, if you think your corporation is stealing or they aren't doing what, go look at the budget, see the projects that are supposed to be done, see what isn't done, and maybe now when you go to have a conversation, you wouldn't just raise your hand and say, but why are you doing nothing? You could actually have an opinion on it.
I have $10 million that I've spent. XYZ, and one of the greatest is playing areas and basketball courts.
Yeah.
How much we would estimate roughly, or just guess, to fence a basketball court?
Fence a basketball court. How tall? The regular kind of 10 plus 15 feet?
Yeah.
75,000 somewhere.
Right. If you're using wire wall, you're not even going to get the L. my wall is the panels now.
Yeah.
Because remember those basketball courts often have netballs and a basketball
Yeah.
side. Not even going to get the L.
It's 75.
Yeah, you're not even going to get the L. And it's 75,000 usually we give each council that. So in some instances, you'll see people doing one half of the court this year, and next time people will say, look the thief the money, look the, and it's like, oh, like we genuinely, and it's a real tricky thing, because if you only give the big contractors the benefit from economies of scale, they kill off all the small business.
As you say that, I was noting something in Tobago, right? The chief secretary in Tobago said they aren't getting enough money. So what they're going to do is they're going to start to do projects where the contractor financing it, and they will pay down the road. Now, I'm sure that might get around the not being able to do bigger projects, but isn't that going to cut out all small contractors?
I think so.
Because a small contractor cannot afford to pay and do a project to the government, when we know some of the government projects, you may have a while to wait for that pay.
Yeah, sometimes.
It's only big contractors going to do that, so you just lick up the small man.
So those, again, we're not going to do perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to do is improvement. And consistent improvement over continuum. We here now, as we go forward to the future, this is what we want to build on. And yes, sometimes we will dip in between, but we want to build on that. And that is where we need to focus. Not on going and take a picture every pothole and put it up. Because the amount of time that people take to be on this kind of folly is beyond me, you know. Like the amount of time they take to... I've never seen somebody take a picture of a paved road unless they're trying to ridicule it. And if you so believe that this is the best you're doing for your country and where you live in, then we definitely need to look at that and like, what kind of citizens we producing if you're not going to take
They probably think that the corporations don't know where the holes are, so they're doing a public service by, highlighting where all of the holes are.
And then, so I hear that. I understand people. Let's do the people. Okay, the people do that. But then we have at least, I've counted them like 25 to 30 pages that are dedicated to just, like, these are not individuals, these are corporate entities who trade in exposing the...
What's my problem with so many and that kind of pages? And even some people too, even like in the sphere of discussions that I have sometimes, I don't like when obvious other motives attempt to be hidden by neutrality. Like, I have no problem if you're a man, you're in a political party. Very well, great.
Yeah.
So I know when I'm talking to you where we talking from.
Yeah, but and even if I'm PNM, that don't mean Samuel Sankara doing a good job.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to go and buy ad in the papers and shout that the UNC representative doing well, But then do try to ridicule when Travis Williamson Tunapuna doing well, or Corey Selvon doing well, or Kerry and doing well, because then when we sit and it is mask, there's mask in the way people, they want you to believe that, but when they see us, it's a normal scene. It's really a normal scene. So what they're really doing is gaslighting the population. But when we see them, it's normal scene, like the level of disgust that they heap, and they is a normal, like I'm telling you.
They don't actually behave like that. I could believe that, I could believe that that's not a hard thing for me to
so then why are you gaslighting the population?
Because you have vested interest, and that's the problem I have with that.
No, but what I'm saying is though, you're also not successful at that now. It's a losing strategy.
Well, they
because what they actually doing is getting people disengaged from the process.
Yeah.
In most instances, people disengaged. Yeah. And if you think that you're going to win with that, and even if the win, we see what happened in this style, even if you win, it's not manageable. Because if your tactic is to heap score and things, then when you're responsible.
I was saying this about the sister aisle there. The problem was, and that's the sister aisle PDP showed some of the problems I have with some of the people that talk that. the PDP wasn't a party formed from grassroots where they built up this, they found people who were not into politics before. No. If you were paying attention, you know all those faces from before. It's like a Frankenstein kind of thing. And the only, well, I'm not going to say the only, but the main common thread they had was get rid of the PNM.
Yeah.
But when you get rid of the PNM, that means your only common thread gone.
Yeah.
What are you going to do next?
And so, a lot of my lessons, as I said earlier, came from older people in politics. And the PNM is the, what I call the grand old party of trying to be good. This is the old, this party.
Yeah.
And even when we disagree, the lessons you learn about one, how you manage a campaign, how do you run an election, how you, and just continue learning. It's a, I don't know that these, and when people say, you try something new, you want to do something new, I don't really understand that. Doing something new is that this person don't have a Marilyn going to pick up the phone and call. Who was around in Williams days? Who was around in Patrick Mine days? Who was around in Dr. Raleigh days to pick up the phone and say, Miss Gordon, I have this issue here and this is what going on and I need help, man. And she said, come and check me now and make some oil long for you. Take some lime juice, sit down here. And you know, or call Ray Bradford and say, Ray, or call Oja Maraj, you know, and say, Oja, we're going on here. And Oja say, boy, come and eat a aloe pie by me. And Oja come and say, you know, or Capel and Grandy, you know. So you have these, and I mean, it doesn't function perfect, as I said before, but I could at least pick up the phone and say, you know, former Minister of Communication under Patrick Manning, Neil Parsons. When we lost, and I was thinking about getting involved in politics, went to see Neil at his Winarima. Neil thing there in his home, speak to me. When I was running for election in 2013, Miss Gordon, she took me to lunch, she said, okay, these are former senators, you know, when, and even people who are UNC, or to see them in the gym and talk to them and be like, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, when I say work out, obviously I'm working out now. But I mean, so, when people say they want something new, what does that mean? Like, what do you really want? Do you want something new or do you want better service?
You want better service. And in terms of that, I would consider myself much more of a reformist than a revolutionary. And Trinidadian, well, the loud Trinidadian political talk regularly leans on the revolutionary side. There are very few revolutions in the world that were ever successful.
And people do know better.
So you keep thinking like, this group is the evil one. Okay, well, you go and choose this one and then you put them into the place and you notice, okay, that's a human problem and now we still have to go to try to figure out how we could reform the laws or the practices or the culture to work around the human issues.
And I know we are real problems. I'm not here to say we don't have problems. I can tell you, for me, I grew up in Lahokota. I lived there for most of my life. So I'm 35 years now, and most of my life I lived in Lahokota, for perspective. Like, at least 80% of my life was spent in Lahokota. And for perspective on how large Lahokota is, I went to school, I think the lot number was 4, and where I grew up, my lot number was lot number 9,000 and something.
That's big.
so that's the and where I bought my first home was 400 and something. And when I had my business was 8,000 and something. In terms of lots. In some institutions become more than one, but I'm just telling you, this place has 10,000 lots. There are 5,000 families between Lahokota and Greenville. For I understand what I had to grow up in. So I know the challenges that we have with service delivery. I know the issues that we have. I know what the teachers going through. So I know these things. I'm still in communication with all of them. But with all of that we say, do we really want to be the generation responsible for the doom and gloom of Trinidad? Or do we want to be the generation that says, okay, we have a problem, here's how we're going to fix it. Let us work together, let us meet on this common ground. And when the election come, we fight it hard. When the election come, I still want to beat Sima, I still want to beat Sanka, but once the election is over,
we work together.
Because trust me, if we do work together in this space, we're going to get anywhere. And I don't believe that there would ever be a situation where we have special majorities in this country. Politics to tribal and identity politics. So to get anything done, you're going to need the support of the other side to get the chiefest majority, special majority to pass important bills. I could say now, Lisa Morris is much of my colleague and I call her when I have things going on, and Marvin Gonzalez as much as I would call Khadija or Vandana. Because I, unlike other corporations who might have 2 MPs, I have 9. Sorry, my world corporation has 2 MPs. Honorable Beckers, and Honorable Lisa Morris. I have half a penny, Costa, Marvin, Nayan, Terence, Khadija, Pisa Vandana, Esmond, Honorable Camille Robinson Regis. The lawyer, Rambali.
From Carney.
Yeah, Rambali. I have a next piece of Carney, I think is the teacher. And I have so that's just. So I have a different view because I have to manage a place where
you can't afford to be strictly partisan, and otherwise it would just be impossible to function.
And the place will just continue to run down. I must fix the place, and to fix the place, I'll fix by Vandana, and I'll fix by Khadija, and I have to fix in Maloney. So that type of thinking, I can't afford it. Because if I only veer into that level of partisanship, then we'll feel it. As I told my colleagues recently, when I reach Europe, I can't jump over Europe. I can't pass through. I have to pass through Europe, and everybody who voting for the PNM have to pass through Europe, and they see how bad Europe is, and we have to improve Europe. So let us put some money into Europe, because regardless if we'll never win Europe, that's fine. Europe is...
You still use it. It's our
country. It's a hub.
Yeah.
And I think that is where we are. And again, former MP, Parima, Roger Samuel. He have a house. He has a house in Lahokata, so I know him. And election then come we fight. But when we were doing, when the UNC was in power, we were developing the Mara Road, Sporting community. We had a plan. I would do the roads, you do the drains. So where you had control over, you do some drainage for us, and we work well. And when the election come, beat him, get him out of office.
I know that region. I went to school at Hocketa North Government Primary School for 1 year. I was born and grew up for the first 5 years in San Rafael, in the bush.
I know San Rafael,
In the bush. Good place. I still prefer down that side, if I'm being honest.
I like city life.
Well, you grew up with 5,000 families.
Yeah, I like city life, and like actually like apartment living and thing. Like I want to live in my later days in estate and stuff. But for now, I looking for efficiency. If I live in a condo complex or apartment, I don't want to study about the yard maintenance. Somebody come and do that, and I just go to work. And
all right, a question to wrap up. Tunapuna has that corporation has some of the most hotspots.
Yes.
Hocketa, Orapun, Maloney, Tunapuna seems probably like it getting really scary these days. Is there anything the local government side could do in the assistance for crime?
Of course. As I said before, the crime body policing too, but still improving the environment. Only Facebooks. And to break it down to the listeners, because of course this will be cut up for TikTok. Without the title of the story of the movie, from the setting of the scene, you will know if somewhere is Metropolis or it's Gotham City. From just the setting, Gotham City is dark country. And the messaging that is, the underbelly of that is, in Gotham City, all the threats come from on the street, on the ground. Jokers, gangs, and but in Metropolis, there's no threat from the citizenry. It's always some
outside.
Right. So I'm saying, if we try to live in Metropolis and Gotham City, and we have much work to do, but that is where my focus is, and I think that will have an impact on crime, because if you treat people a particular way, they behave. All of us is whispering in the bank. As we reach out the road in Tunapuna, we shouting loud in the bank, and we actually frown on people who talk loud in the bank. because the environment there is
Correct.
clean, the air conditioner is there, and I'm saying I need to improve my service delivery in how we take care of our environment. And that is the only way communication, because in a lot of the instances, people dump garbage after the garbage truck pass. I can't look for that. And I communicate to them and say, yo, go put your garbage out after 8. The truck here does come 7:30. So you throw the garbage 8 o'clock and stay there till tomorrow. Please don't do it.
Yeah. I see some people. Our garbage day is Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Right.
Somebody will come
Tuesday morning.
Who's that? Friday
Night. So they're till Monday morning.
Like, what do you think gonna happen with garbage over the weekend? That just beyond.
And that is very important for crime and how people behave.
Yeah.
Because you're putting people in a situation where you're treating them less than they should be. No, some of the things that they do are their fault.
Yeah.
I'm not absolving the responsibility, but as a leader, I am saying that the condition of in the zone in Tunapuna need to improve. I'm saying the condition on Pinto Road, the garbage, we need to improve that. And that is where, I can't be police.
Yeah.
I can't police. And as Jacob said, Commissioner said, the police are doing the best they can. And then we as citizens now, or leaders in our organization, need to ask, what do I need to do?
What's the best I can do?
Right, and you look at that, and then we come back and say, okay, we all have given our best, and now we need to. But it can't be that I am trying to give my best, you trying to give your best, and everybody else out there just
doing.
Yeah, and they're doing the most. And as I think was Inspector Alexander, right? He was saying, one of the
Senior Superintendent.
Sorry, my apologies, sir. Yeah, a few minutes later, I apologize. He was saying that people hide criminals.
That's very true.
And so all of us complaining about crime, but we hide in the criminals. So those are the things that, again, we have to all do our best. And that in terms of Tunapuna, if I am to improve the situation, I would attempt that. Additionally, just continuing to engage with my stakeholders and supporting people that doing positive. Give the positive people support. So Emmanuel Calendar is back in the corridor. With athlete, he started his athletic club. How do we give Emmanuel Calendar support? How do we give the Etihad Football League support? How do we give CWTT support? How do we give, and that is where we need to figure out how do we empower those stakeholders? How do I give them priority over,
as you're talking about that and the environment, I would be the witness of that, Futsal. As I say, we're living in a community that has its own problems here. But there was a block made in this community because of government work. They were building a drain, a box drain, a road, a T-junction road.
Yeah.
The drain supposed to run across this road.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to run low enough that the road has a bridge over it. They built the bridge about 2 feet taller than the road.
Yeah.
I don't know who was the engineer or what. 2 feet taller. So they made this road entire dead. And as soon as they did that,
was it?
A block. Because if you grow up in zones, blocks don't form on the busiest junctions. They need a little nook, some scrap cars parked nearby to throw there. So I could see what you're talking about there fully. If on the environment side where local government has some say, they're able to keep it as spick and span as is in their capability, I could see that actually looking at.
What creates that problem, again, I live it now, is usually the outfall drain. So if they do it lower, it will not be able to get into the...
I kind of figured what's happening because it's the gradient they're trying
to get. So what should have happened there is that they should have then... You see it sometimes where in the junction a little bit higher. And so I have a situation like that. And people ask, why the build it so high? And I was like, no, we need to get into the outfall drain. Unless I put in a pump there, a mechanical thing to pump the water up, I have to start up here higher because, of course, you could take the water up here, especially in the central areas where. So it's those things that we have to figure out, and also, I don't know everything. And it is to reach the point where you say, I don't know this. How can you help me? And that isn't to say that I am a bad leader. I'm acknowledging that I don't know everything. And we need to figure out this problem together. And as soon as I have enough information, you're going to make this decision. But allow me to figure this thing out with you. Because unless you're going to get Gandalf as your next leader in the corporation, whoever you put there, going to have to learn things. And going to have to surround themselves with a team of people to advise them and to move forward. And those are the type of thing that we really need to continuously do. Like how do, and again, Dr. Rowley is not one to have political hacks as advisors. Some of the most
he boasts about
and some of the people who he hires are not even being like, you know, he has kept on.
I believe Winston Lucas is still head of the
XM Bank. Yeah, so he is not, that is not him. So as much as negative one they want to heap on Dr. Rowley, for my own personal observation, this is a man who makes decisions bipartisan. And then you read and people say, yeah, I'm super and I'm like, what are they talking about? This is a man who have people who identify themselves as not being PNM, anti-PNM, working with the government to try to find solutions. And if you look at the Vision 2020 document, that document, I believe, had both URI.
Yes,
it did. Yeah. And again, this is not to defend Dr. Rowley because he doesn't need my defense. I'm saying that the leadership that requires right now requires some stern leadership, because I could tell you for me, when Dr. Rowley said, when we came into office, every pot of the sit on your own bottom. If I catch you doing something wrong, you're on your own. Bro, that was more motivation than any other motivation that Sir Patrick Mann could have given me. God rest his soul. And those type of things are important. And I'm not saying it now because it was required for us. Because there were a whole set of young councillors that came in 2013 who was wild. And when that man then talked, he said, every pot of the sit on their own bottom. If I catch you all doing anything wrong, all on their own. Like, bro, like, you were like
the thing is a lot of how he speaks, and I said this before, he speaks with a kind of paternal feel to it. Like a stern daddy. The problem is Prime Minister isn't the daddy of the country really and truly. So some people would find it very hard to take that kind of daddy tone from somebody who, in their view, might be my paid servant that I'm paying to serve me.
I don't know that we wanted a diplomatic person during COVID. Though.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
People were already fetting and partying, and he was being still on the TV every day. And that's the fact. People were fetting, and the man was
I don't think there was any way to stop Trinis from fetting.
No, what I'm saying, it would have been. I think we'd have been. Probably. So why? And I mean, as I said before, the continuum of leadership and politics has now given me the benefit of looking back at some of these things. And when I was in it, I was like, how them dealing with people so right. But then when we look back, we realize that hey, you know, maybe this was the best, or this was better than what I was proposing.
You gain some perspective.
Because now I could tell you. Sometimes with my colleagues, meeting was 9 o'clock, late. Move it to 10 o'clock, the late. And move it to 8 o'clock, the early. When I say, hey, what is going on? If all do come early, I call on the meeting. No meeting, and remember they want to get things done. All man Jack, reach early. So sometimes you have to learn this sternness. And for me, right now, people when ask me, what wrong? Will I get the chairman vexed? No one is upset. What I'm saying is, you've had 3 years with this thing. And perspective. We have in this year extension also give me some perspective, because you see, in trying to be amenable to people and have good relationship with them, it didn't do a primary function, which was to serve. So maybe I will buff up Mr. Springer when I say it. And Mr. Springer, if you don't do this, I will have to ask the CEO to take some kind of action against you. It's not that I don't like you, but people need to have this estimate done to have this project. And again, perspective is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Perspective is, hey, if we don't do this, this is going to be the result. So, give the bamboo example. If I didn't be angry chairman, might have still had garbage and bamboo. I had to be angry chairman, be like, here it is going on. What's the most amount of barcodes and trucks you can rent on any given day? Alright, that's the amount I want. It's 50. Like, so on one day, we had like 50 pieces of equipment there.
Wow.
Because it's like, this can't continue. If this had continued for another 3 or 4 people that get sick, we'd have all kind of medical situation.
I was seeing a guy talking about the water turning black and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm saying that when but again, the first couple of days I'll be like, hey, please. It's like, no. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting you all for 8 o'clock. Have all the equipment necessary there, and we're going to do this today.
I remember I was reading about leadership a while ago, and someone was making the point that empathy isn't necessarily a positive trait for a leader. Like being able to feel for other people, because the reality is your decision making isn't really based on feel.